I have call-in user 2. I have no idea who that is, David. How do I see who that is?
Just do a roll call. That's the only way you can do it.
Okay, so let's do a roll call starting with you, David. David Purvis,
Yes, David Purvis.
David Smoke,
I'm here.
Louise Pavlin,
I'm here.
Tony Cox,
I'm here.
Steve Kopinski. No. Okay, who else that I haven't named?
Herc's here.
Sue Stool is listening in too.
Jim Nixon, I'm in my kitchen.
Yep, Jim Nixon, I got you. Thank you. Who else?
Jeremy Kendrick is here.
Jeremy.
Michelle Austin is on.
Hey. Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Great. Allergies are killing me, but great.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Are there any others I'm missing?
Did you get me? I'm
Mayor
Herc.
Williams.
Who? I'm sorry, who?
Herc is
Mayor
on the
Williams.
phone.
Hurt. Like this.
And Mayor Williams.
Hey, Mayor, how are you?
Wonderful this morning.
Good. Okay, so I got Trevor Hobbs, David Purvis, David Smoke, Louise Pavlin, Tony Cox, Jim Nixon, Jeremy Kendrick, Michelle Austin, Herc Ligdis, Mayor Williams. Is there anyone else that I have left off this list?
Yeah, Darren Talon's on.
Okay. And still no Steve.
Steve's on there now.
There you are, Steve. Oh, God, I'm going to die.
I hope so.
I hope so, too. Okay, so I got everybody. It is now 8:32. Did everybody have an opportunity and read the email that had the agenda for today, the minutes,
I'm so sorry.
and the balance sheet? Did everybody get all that information?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, was there any issues or concerns with the minutes that anybody wanted to go over from last meeting?
I make a motion we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is the mayor on?
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Mayor's
Do
on.
we, do we need to do roll call votes for any?
Yes, we do need to do roll call votes, by the way.
For the minutes too?
We need to do roll call votes on all votes.
Okay.
It's a public meeting. Did Alan Sloan come on? Is he here?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, best practices by the comptroller are to do roll calls for all your votes. So hate to do that to you, but you might want to just read off everybody's names and then have them say yes or no.
Okay. Trevor Hobbs.
He's not on the board.
He's not voting.
Yeah, I'm a non.
Okay. David Purvis.
Yes.
David Smoke.
Non-voting.
I don't get to vote. I'm sorry.
Okay. Louise Pavlin.
Yes, I get to vote.
Yay. Tony Cox.
Yes.
Jim Nixon.
Yes.
Jeremy Kendrick.
Yes.
Michelle Austin.
Yes.
Herc Ligdis.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes.
Darren Callender.
Yes.
Steve Kopinski.
I'm non-voting.
Okay. And Alan Sloan.
He's not voting.
Yeah.
Non-voting.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Is that everybody?
Yourself.
Okay, so approval of minutes, roll call has been approved. Next is approval of financials by David Purvis. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at the Shop Farragut's financial statement?
Yes.
Just as an update on the financials, everything seems to compare very well to where we were last year. Our January through February income statement revenue was up about $3,300. Expenses were up about $4,200. We netted about $4,600 compared to $5,500 for the previous 2-month period last year. Then I've got some multiple windows here. Bear with me. The other comparison is profit loss compared to the town's fiscal calendar. Here again, expenses, revenue was up about $3,300, expenses up about $4,200. Net change, am I looking at the wrong, January through February, I'm looking at the wrong one. Dang it. Where is it? It's hard scrolling through this stuff. Some of it's sideways. Oh yeah, okay, reconciliation. There we go. Okay. Now, yeah, okay. Compared to the town's calendar, we are about $1,500 higher in revenue and approximately $14,000 higher in expenses. From a comparison, we made a profit of $1,000 last year versus this year a loss of $11,000. The vast majority of that change is our increase in expending on advertising, which was an increase of about $9,700. The other area was additional compensation for the raise for Steve and some expense for, I think, the band, if I can look sideways, for a band at one of our events. So we're fairly on track. We are spending more money on advertising, which what I'm hearing seems to be much more effective.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to Tony's information he sent in about how much the campaign and our social media is working. People are actually starting to recognize Shop Farragut now. It's pretty exciting.
Been at it for how long?
Okay, so does anybody have any questions, concerns, or issues about our financial statements? Oh,
None.
okay. Anyone want to submit a motion to approve financial?
You just looking for a motion to approve?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, I'm going to do a roll call. All in favor? Are we ready? Trevor Hobbs? Oh, non-voting. Never mind. David Purvis?
Yes.
Louise Pavlin?
Yes.
Tony Cox?
Yes.
Jim Nixon?
Yes.
Jeremy Kendrick?
Yes.
Michelle Austin?
Yes.
Kirk Ligdis?
Yes.
Mayor Williams?
Yes.
Darren Tallender?
Yes.
That is everybody. Okay. The motion for approval of minutes has been accepted by the board. What?
Approval of financials.
Approval of financials.
Yes, that's what you just did. You said approval of minutes.
I'm sorry, approval of financials. Everybody was yes, and I have the roll call vote.
Yes.
So all in favor, say aye.
That's what we just did.
Just did a roll call
Just
for
did
that.
that.
We're done. Okay. Next. Content committee, Tony Cox. Tony sent everybody an email, I believe, last night or this morning, with how much the social media campaign is working. Tony, would you like to update us?
I just go back through what I sent out just in case everybody hadn't had a chance to review it. This is all based on March 5th. I don't have new numbers for obviously for what's occurred over the last week, but through March 5th, so over the last 60 days, we've had a total reach on our Facebook account of 7,000 694 people. Of that reach, 411 were engaged to click on a link, click on a photo, or seek more information about the post. I've made some general assumptions about our Facebook followers. The time periods that folks are looking at our Facebook account or looking at our posts are 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Those are the top 2 time periods, also 1 p.m. and 5 a.m. 5 a.m. stuck out to me as kind of an odd time. The other times look like we really have people who either have really, really active lifestyles or who are, professionals who have jobs and go from there. So to me, it looks like it's a really good target audience for what we're doing with our social media. As far as the how that audience is made up, 78% are female, 22% are male, 32% of the audience is between the ages of 35 and 44, 21% are between the ages of 45 and 54. It kind of stuck out to me just a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. That 35 to 44, if I'm not mistaken, is a shift downward in age on our Facebook following. So I'm not sure what may have accounted for that, but I have to think it's activity and the things that are being shared there. Our Twitter account had 8,141 impressions over the past 60 days. 4,248 of those were in January on 67 tweets. February had 3,893 impressions on 60 tweets. So really, really active social media accounts. I'm sure all that's changing even more so as we go into uncharted territory here.
Yeah, a lot of people are stuck at home and they're forced to watch it. So we could really have some fun with our social media right now.
Hey, Steve, can I ask a question? Steve, are we sending out, I haven't noticed, I may be missing something, sending stuff out about the curbside service at the restaurants?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all the time. And in fact, I have a page on our website directed towards business updates / COVID. And I've been putting that in the email that went out twice this past 10 days, the last 10 days. And I repeat that on our Facebook and Twitter pages and lead people to that In fact, our website has had more hits this past week, I think, in the last 3 months.
Absolutely.
And in fact, I just shared before this meeting started Candace's video on curbside. So
that was fun.
No, it's I list all the businesses and what they're doing. And then I also point people towards the Farragut West Knoxville Chamber activity, where they're keeping listings on the businesses. And also there's a couple of other restaurant sites, Knox store updates and Knox restaurants. So it includes Farragut restaurants, but those are more county-wide sites. But I try to give those resources to people if they go to our site too.
One thing on nextdoor.com, my wife's on there and she started reading me some of the threads. A lot of the neighborhoods are now talking about neighborhood dine out night, where they all coordinate and order from one restaurant a couple days in advance. That way they can make one delivery to the neighborhood. So it gets the neighborhoods behind the individual restaurants, giving them enough horsepower to bring stuff to the neighborhood. So I don't know if that's something we can help promote or not.
Well, I can promote it if I get the information. I'm promoting everything, and I'll do that through our email blast or through our social media. But a lot of it I'm picking up and just reposting and stuff from our different businesses here. So if those people who are on the neighborhood app or whatever that thing is, if they want to send me stuff, I'll go ahead and push it through as soon as I get the information.
Can I ask a quick question? Because David, all of Farragut is not connected on Nextdoor. I have been dealing with Nextdoor out in Fox Run. We are not connected to like your neighborhood, and we're not connected to Concord Hills. But we are connected to Hardin Valley, which I'm in every other third month of the year. So I've been kind of trying to push them, and apparently I have to go through all of the leads of each of these neighborhoods, but hopefully I'm working on trying to get us all connected. But I'm wondering, the town of Farragut has a public agency next door page. Would it be, and I'm just throwing this out because I'm thinking off the top of my head, would it be helpful to have a Shop Farragut next door page? Because when you set up a public agency, they're connected to all of the neighborhoods in Farragut. Whereas not all of our neighborhoods are connected, like I said. So
No, we're not. They're more isolated. I mean, there's subsets of our Farragut.
yeah. But could we set up a public agency for Shop Farragut that we could send out that?
Louise, this is Sue Stoll. I'm not sure that Nextdoor is allowing that. Public agencies are governments or utilities. They're pretty specific, but we'll get Wendy to ask on that.
I
to
could
see if that's.
I think that'd be a good idea. So.
But if not, I think one thing we could do is if Steve, we wanted to work with Steve on getting some kind of information out on Nextdoor, saying if you in your neighborhood wants to do a dining night out where they deliver to your neighborhood, and contact Steve to get the word out to the restaurants and maybe do some kind of coordinated effort that way.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, yes, we can definitely do that.
As a side note, VG's Bakery closed. One of their employees' father showed symptoms, and they lived with their father, showed symptoms of COVID-19. So they closed. They self-quarantined and waited the results of the test on the father. Father came back with COVID-19. So we know of an employee at VG's got exposed to that, but they isolated it over a week ago, and they've closed the bakery indefinitely.
Oh, man.
They and that's one of the things because everybody at nextdoor.com and our community, our next door, all of them were saying, you got to go to VG's, you got to go to VG's. They're really promoting, trying to support them, and everybody was upset they closed. So I just, I found this out yesterday from the owners of VG's. So hopefully none of them are infected, but they're still in quarantine. So they're probably in official quarantine at this point.
Wow.
So it's my point being, it's closer to us than we think sometimes.
Are they counted in the 16, 18 cases in Knox County?
I would assume so. I'd assume that I assume they live in Knox County. They may not. Maybe counted in another county. We're so close to Loud and everything else. I don't know where that number was counted. I just found out that yesterday I got a text that he tested positive. So, but then he had not tested positive yet. So,
Okay.
Good information.
Candace, you want to move on?
Yeah, I'm blown away. Okay, director's report, the COVID-19. Steve, I know you've got several items that we need to discuss. So
Right. Well, I've kind of touched on the stuff that I'm doing for the COVID webpage, and I mean that's what my activity has been. Is just getting the information out, and everything changes every single day. So I'm updating that page constantly as people feed me the information or I find it with their own tweets and Facebook posts. The next thing came to me two different directions. Of course, Phil Dangle was the first one, and then just out of the blue, I get an email request to say that people want to know that these businesses that are open. And Phil Dangle had asked me about taking down the restrictions on temporary signage so that businesses can just put up signs and not go through all the paperwork and deposits and other things for this period of time, just to lift some of the paperwork and restrictions and get their temporary signs up to let people know that they're open. Shrimp Market makes a big point about that they are a market and that they can sell all this food, and they just want people to know they're open. So that's really a town kind of decision in that, but I wanted to bring it forward because it wasn't just me thinking up ideas. It comes from other people.
Well, would we allow them to put up their the Farragut approved temporary signs? Or are we talking about letting them put up any signs they want?
No, it's temporary. In fact, I got a call from Tropical Smoothie. The franchisees all got special banners from corporate, and I said
They didn't
he
have
called.
to pay for. Yes, they were free. They were given to them because the corporation is trying to support local business. Yes.
And Jason called me, and I said, no, there's no way you could put up a banner. But I said, if you have a sign, we'll find a way to that fits the guidelines that we could try to see if we can get it up for you. And that I was going to have a meeting today to discuss this. But it would have to be the approved signage because we don't want dancing banners and flyers and people with waving arms. But once again, it's a town decision.
Steve, I've talked to Mark about that a little bit. We're working on obviously relaxing that for the time being as we get through this crisis with everyone. We just need to come up with something that's consistent for all businesses to be able to do. And so that's what we're working on right now. And hopefully today or tomorrow we'll have that. So that way all businesses know, here's what the temporary rules are going to be. Here's what you can do to try to get more attention to your business and get people in the door.
Perfect.
Does that have to go to the mayor and alderman for a vote?
We're just going to do it internally right now because this is obviously we need to do it immediately, not wait.
It's a day-to-day changing basis, day to day. I mean, we could be forced to close tomorrow. So I'm going to drop $500 for a Farragut approved sign. And then next thing I know, President Trump's going to close my business and I'm out $500 for a sign I can't use ever again. Come on. We need a break.
And that's what we're working on.
Thank you.
All right. Next, I'll wait for your reply and we'll get it out ASAP.
We'll get it out to you as soon as possible, Steve.
Thank you. Health and wellness. I've talked with Sue and we're holding June 13. Hopefully that's pushed out far enough. My question to everyone is that I filled all the 32 slots for the gymnasium and still have a waiting list of 12 dozen businesses that would like to participate. I put them on a waiting list, but I'm going to ask Sue if it's possible to have the whole center and move part of it over into the I guess the old church part of the building too, if that would be too much or not.
Steve, we've already got a prom in there that night. So unless that gets changed, the timing allowed us to do two different things, but they have moved their prom from April to June. So.
Okay. Well, that's all I needed to know. So that means the building will be open later. I don't have to get out as quick.
Exactly. There'll be someone there unless they change it again. So,
Sue, I've got a question for you. On the classrooms, are they filled?
Are the classrooms filled? You mean rentals?
Are they open for that particular day?
Well, we will have birthday parties probably in there. Birthday parties have been becoming really popular. So, and we may have the boater safety because they're on hold too. So they were scheduled several times, and I'd have to look and see whether they're available or not. They're not very big, so it wouldn't help a lot. for that. So if you wanted to, you know, rope off part of the parking lot and use that, you could do that.
Well, it depends on the weather and all kinds of things too. And then
Right.
I already
right.
have, if Medic continues to, I only had one dropout on the change of date. And I've worked with Medic to have their bloodmobile out front. So I'm already kind of using outside.
Yeah.
I don't know if any, I think the people who are getting involved are really enjoying that it's indoors and they don't have to do a big
Yeah.
tent and wind blowing and
Yeah,
all
I get there.
So.
Well, if something changes with the prom, if they change again or cancel altogether, we'll let you know. But right now they have that date held. So
I guess it's more of a question of you don't mind if we would have something that big. To use
no,
both
I mean,
spaces.
that's fine. You'll just have to figure out how you're going to control access and all that kind of stuff. So we can work that out. That's not a problem. There's not that assembly hall is not all that big either. So you could get a few people and, you know, a few things, but in order to have room for the actual people to talk to people, it won't allow a lot. But where, you know, again, if they're not using it, that'd be fine. And I won't know that for a while because they've got a hold on it. So we'll see what happens.
Well, thank you. I guess the biggest thing on my desk right now is the taste of Farragut and how to move forward with it. I sent out to most people, all board members last night, a document that shows you where I'm at. And I'm basically sitting dead in the water, not knowing who to, whether or not to push people to be involved in something that is on the cusp of recovery. Whether or not try to sell tickets during April when there's still a lockdown and schools closed.
I don't see how restaurants are going to be in a position to
Give away all that food. No, we're not.
Yeah, they're not going to be in that position. I just don't think we can ask that of them. I think at this point, we might have to consider at least postponing, if not canceling.
Well, that's why I bring it up is if we cancel, that is our largest fundraiser. So we'd have to probably look at some other type of fundraiser during the year. If we postpone, I do know that some of the businesses, and in fact, when I was talking with Tropical Smoothie, they really want to have it as soon as possible as a recovery tactic to get business back into their shop. So there is, it's a fine line between how long do you postpone it and where it fits in the schedule of other activities that we have.
Hey, Steve, I'm sorry, David, go ahead.
I would say there's a secondary issue here. And my concern is what echo effect does this have on people's willingness to gather? The social distancing thing right now is dominant, and people would be comfortable at May 1st or June 1st to be able to come to an event where there's been traditionally 800, 900 people or more.
Yeah.
So I worry about attendance. I worry about the businesses to be able to afford to coming out of this and having lost as much revenue as they have, and whether they're sustainable and whether it's we're gonna have to work with them to see if that'll work. But I'm worried about attendance as well, and I may be over worrying. But
and this is a weather dependent event on how successful it is, and we know how bad it can get when we don't have the weather on our side, and that's a big sacrifice to ask of the restaurants. Is there a possibility of, I understand if we decide to cancel this, to have a push when things open up where we're really pushing our restaurants and our small businesses in the local area. I mean, I know we do that already, but I'm just trying to think outside the box that we might have to have another kind of marketing effort push to get people back in.
I think that's a separate. I think that's a good idea. I think we're going to need to do that to help them. But the other side of that is, but that doesn't really address this event.
Yeah.
Whether we postponed or forego. I'd hate to see us forego because it has been a big piece of our funding. That's going to put us at jeopardy. Just like everybody else, it's going to put us at jeopardy as well as being viable.
This is
Can I make a suggestion? Now that we have the community center and we know that August is hot, we know August school goes back. We don't need to have it outside. We don't have to. I know that's what we've normally done, but is there not a way that we can utilize a Saturday, and instead of calling it Taste of Farragut, we can come up with some kind of campaign of something of all the businesses that are open for people that are going to be shopping for back to school, and the restaurants that are open when the town's back will be indoors. It doesn't matter if it's 108 degrees outside and 95% humidity. And hopefully by August, everybody will be okay with getting together in large groups, because it has now been 3 or 4 months. Can we not look at August and just scrap the whole spending all the money for the tents, spending all the money for the stages, spending all the money? It would be less expensive, and we'd be able to do it indoors, so it wouldn't matter if it was hot. Can we not look at doing an August event before school starts?
I'm not going to be the naysayer here, but you're looking at limited capacity as far as the number of people that can be inside. I looked up some things this morning and actually went back to looking at September. On September 4, that's Farragut High School open date if we did a Friday night. If we move forward to October, October 17 is the Tennessee open date. If we looked at a Saturday for a Tennessee game that shouldn't mean a lot, Furman is the September 19th game. And, for all practical purposes, we could put together a game watch station out in the parking lot or however we wanted to do that, just to encourage, folks to come on out. You're not going to miss the game and go from there. I think this is one of those events that if you want to look at something that can actually make a statement that says, you know what, we're back, we're excited to be back. This is the type of event that can do it, because it does encourage community gathering and going from there. But I think if you're looking at a June, a July, you're too early, because there's so much uncertainty right now. I do think that we need to go forward up to the September, October time period to do anything. And what it'll do is it'll give people an opportunity to have something to look forward to.
I think Tony has a good idea there. Sue, can I ask you? I know that speaking to Scott, he is moving out his volleyball tournament. What weekend was that?
17.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I knew we should pick that date because there was no UT game that day. But I think Tony's got a good idea. Whatever day we decide to pick in September is certainly just give an honest look at the calendar. But I think that's probably a good idea.
September 4. We have dog day. We have dog days August 14, 15, 16. Music Fest is planned for July 10, 11. September 4 could work very well with back-to-back and kind of a promotional push towards the taste. And I mean, just thinking off the top of my head, but that gives me plenty of time to get people moving. I do have people who have already signed up for the other events, and like you have in front of you, people have already committed to the taste. So I mean, there is there is dollars behind it already as we move forward. So
I think we ought to, personal opinion is I think September 4th may be a good target to go. We need to get it on the calendar. And so we can block anybody else from like taking that date or whatever. Or at least, we can start aiming for that.
is that property available September 4?
That's a good question.
I'm sure it will be. In light of everything
Can I
going
make
on right
a
now, I'm sure it will be.
I think Sue wants to say something.
I'm one of my thoughts on this is that maybe we look at it differently, or you all look at it differently, and do a different model and do a Taste of Chicago kind of model where people pay a very little bit to get into the area, and then they buy tickets, and those tickets go towards the restaurant to the bites. And so the restaurants wouldn't have to donate everything. They could be making some or all of their money back. The Farragut Business Alliance would make part of, would get a portion of that tickets. The ticket sales are controlled by the Business Alliance. So it's just another model. A lot of tastes do that way, so that the restaurants aren't, having to fund a lot, because I think a lot of restaurants are going to be suffering for a while, and that might still be a lot to ask even in September.
That's a good point.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we can do something like that, but we could also do it in a way that's you participate, you'll get X amount. I hate to think that one restaurant that comes out with shrimp cocktails is going to get all the tickets, and the tropical smoothies with their kale green cups of may not get as many tickets.
Well, you
there
set
must
the
be
ticket
there must
price.
be we have to find a way to make it equitable for everybody.
Right. Well, the way that the Taste of Chicago does it is they decide what their ticket price is. So basically they sell a ticket for $1, and so you buy 20 tickets, and then this restaurant's egg roll may be $3, and this restaurant's smoothie may be one ticket, or 3 tickets. It's sort of according to how much it costs them to produce it. So that's usually where the equity comes. The more expensive things like shrimp cocktail take more tickets. So,
well, we can work that out. That sounds fine.
it's just just a thought, as a different model. If the restaurants are think that it's going to be difficult for them to do the donations.
Well, and speaking as a restaurant owner, I'm going to provide whatever I can provide. You cannot force me to provide for 500 people or 900 people or 1,000 people. If I can only provide for 150 people because that's all I can afford, then that's what I'm going to provide. So we're going to have to consider lifting some of that. You have to provide for 1,000 people, because if people are still nervous and they don't want to flock, and I make fillets for 600 people and we only sell 200 tickets, I'm out all that money, and I'm not going to get reimbursed. So we're just going to have to work with restaurants during this. I don't even know who's even going to still be open, you guys. It's very real how many are closing.
Do you think September works, Candace?
Yes, because hopefully this $2 trillion package that is on the floor will open up my restaurant to the restaurant business. My staff and keep them working, I qualify for up to $2 million based on my financials. So if that $2 trillion thing passes tomorrow, then there's going to be a lot of restaurants that are going to be okay. If they're still fighting and doing this stupid crap, there are going to be a lot of restaurants that just can't afford to keep their staff. And if I don't keep my staff going, then I don't qualify for the loan. Yeah. I have to stay open. That's why I had to do curbside. Had to stay qualify for the loan to help me. That's why I had to.
Right.
Anyway, that's regardless.
And that's why I shared your video.
Thank you. Yes. And that's why I got so frustrated with the sign. I was just like, I'm doing everything I can. Okay, so September 4th, do we want to make that as the go-to now dates? And we'll just kind of play it by ear, but go ahead and get that on the calendar?
But
I think that's a good idea.
That's Labor Day
before you make
weekend.
that firm, double check my investigation there. I do think that September 4th was the open date. So, but make sure that that's correct before we do it.
On the football schedule?
Yeah.
I'm going to look at Visit Knoxville. I don't know if they have any events scheduled for September 4th. Let's see what they have.
That is Labor Day weekend, so I don't know if that matters or not.
See, that's
You know what?
another thing for restaurants.
Be too close. That may be too close to boater season. Everybody getting in their boats the last weekend. That might be, we may have to push it to October, you guys.
Well, the Taste of Farragut of Turkey Creek is in October.
Maybe the end of September before theirs.
Pamela and I usually do the kids event in September. It's really hot still, just so everybody can keep that in mind. We always think it's going to be cooler than it is. We always end up sunburned. But Labor Day weekend has always been a hard one because so many people go out of town. Now, whether or not they will this year, who knows? But I mean, you risk a lot of people they're going to be stir crazy from being in town. So if travel opens up, I think you're going to see a lot of travel that weekend.
September 5th is a home football game too.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's nix that and figure out something else.
Well, you have, again, September 19. That's a Saturday date. The Tennessee game is Furman. You know, I realize the excitement behind Tennessee football and realize there'll be some competition there, but there's also people who don't venture out to go see Tennessee play Furman. And if we have a convenience center set up with some type of game station where folks can watch, that might be a great way to keep people engaged.
Yeah, as long as the volleyball tournament.
I think Scott has indicated that the other volleyball tournaments are postponing theirs to September. And so they had reached out to Scott, and Scott said, hey, I'm just going to have to postpone this. So he's playing nice with the other national volleyball tournaments out in, I don't know where they are held, but they're all moving theirs to September. And so he said he's going to opt out of his. Sue, has he been in contact with you?
No, not yet. But the Taste of Turkey Creek is on their website for Friday, September 11th this year.
Well, there you go.
There you go. They seem to beat us every time, don't they?
I know. I was just gonna say that.
They have a microphone in here.
It could be moved indoors during the winter months.
Yeah, but then we're still limited on the number of people that can attend in that case.
Well, if it's a combination, if it's a different format and it's more like a VIB arrangement, the VIB is where we make the money, actually, between sponsors and what have you. That's if you only have 200 to 400 people that pay a little more.
If we're moving to a different model of how we do this, Steve, you and I need to look at the financials, see what's the impact going to be to us by doing this. I mean, I'm for changing the model. I just want to make sure we know where we're headed.
Correct.
So I don't know where to go from here with a date, guys. Do we just our next meeting is April 16th. Do we want to all just kind of think on this, knowing that we're going to do something in September or October? And all of us do our own little investigating, or we can email each other back and forth. How do we want to move forward?
Steve, could we just put together a smaller group to go ahead and investigate a few additional dates, make the decision and the recommendation to the board, and the board would just have to approve.
Yes. Who wants to be on the committee?
I'll be on it.
I'll be on
Ken?
it. Yeah, I'll do it.
I can be on it as well. This is Jeremy.
Jeremy, okay?
So that between the 5 of us, with Steve being involved, would that be an acceptable size for that group?
Yeah, I would think so.
So that's David, Tony.
I would loop Sue in if I were you.
Sorry, Sue?
Sure. Sure.
I would loop Sue in.
Okay.
Or who's all on the committee now?
I've got Jeremy, Steve, Candace, Tony, and Sue.
David, do you want to meet with us too?
I don't want to clog it up anymore. You need to. I'll be more happy to. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it.
Well, we're talking money. So,
Okay, then maybe I ought to be involved in that one.
okay. All right, we'll set up a meeting soon. It may be video, but it should be soon, so I can make a statement because I had already been soliciting people. Stopped 3 weeks ago or two weeks ago.
Okay.
And I have some sponsors to talk to. One of them is TDS, which was a major sponsor, and their marketing person has been reassigned, and I'm working with a new person who's is in it temporarily. So I don't know where TDS is coming in on sponsorships this year yet, but I want to have all of our programs lined up so I know what to talk to.
By the way,
And Steve, this is Jeremy. With a TDS marketing person, I can, we can talk about that. Maybe I can
Call me
be
later.
a part of that conversation.
Call me later. That'd be great.
All right.
hey Steve, on the beverage list, who's Flying Panda?
That's a brand out of Empire or one of the other. It's we've opened it up to some just wacky if they want a separate tent and are willing to give. I heard the lady from the King Family Distillery talking on WOKI radio about their family-run alcohol operation in Sevierville. Sent her an email. She called me. We talked, and they're excited to be involved. Want their own tent to send out product, sample product. So
Well, that's good.
but there's all these different brands and stuff that if they want their own separate thing, that we're going in that direction.
Yeah, there's a lot of new liquor distilleries in the area, and they all want Farragut and Knoxville to know about their product. So it's going to be a really good turnout. We just have to get through this trying time.
Yeah.
Okay, is anything else about Taste of Farragut? You ready to tell us about the town sampler and how that's going, Steve?
The interesting thing about town samplers that I have businesses that are more than willing to participate, and that continues to go great. But since this virus has hit, entries have dropped off dramatically. And I've added it to our email blast, and I continue to put it on social media, but people aren't entering. So, I'm going to have a winner this month, but I may have to hand them the prize package with a 6-foot broom handle.
Yeah.
You're not going to get many people want to enter because there's nobody on the roads. People are limiting where they're going to only essential places that they have to go to. I don't know whether you may think about suspending that activity just for a little while after this one, and then restarting again. It's been working very well. It just in this environment, I don't know how it's going to continue.
Yeah. Well, I'm just giving you the facts about it. It's always been a popular contest, and I got the photo in thanks to Alan last week's newspaper. And the businesses have loved it because they're getting the exposure. But now it's
One of the things about this is we're in our second year of doing this now, right, Steve?
well, it was
A
March.
little more than 2 years.
It was March of 18. It's over. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've spent all this time building and branding around it, and it's harder to re-ramp or to ramp it up after you've slowed down than it is just to continue during a slow time period. I suggest that we just keep going with it, and if we have fewer entries, we just have fewer entries, and when everybody kind of settles down, we'll see those numbers come right back up. But any exposure that we continue to give to folks who are participating is good exposure. Just my opinion.
I would agree.
I would
Is there
agree
any
too.
kind of, so I was talking with my internet team yesterday for the restaurant. Is there any kind of way we could do the town sampler and we can do a cyber, since everybody's on their computer, like literally the Wi-Fi was barely moving yesterday. I don't know about you guys, but everybody in Knoxville seems to be on their internet, on their Facebook, on their Instagram, making funny videos.
Meeting like this.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're doing. So is there a way we could do a town sampler style where they have to go click on some business Facebooks and like it and make a comment about their favorite thing, and then whoever does all of that, is there a way we can spin this and make it that people can actually do it in their own home? A scavenger hunt via computer businesses on our Shop Farragut or Town Farragut website, that they have to like it or make a comment about their favorite smoothie or their favorite bagel or their favorite and that way everybody can go online and click on the businesses and like the businesses and somehow interact with each other? Or is there a way to do a campaign like that, or too complicated?
That's a different model for the town sampler. What I think we could do something to engage interaction with the businesses in a different way. I have to think about that. But the town sampler, I was hoping that the winner from this month, I could have the shop owners behind their glass door and have the winner outside of the shop picking up the prize package and get a photo like that to get into the newspaper. That it's the same idea of that girl telling her grandfather that she's engaged with the sign outside his window. Just to play off the situation right now. But to start liking all the Facebook stuff, that goes into the our August campaign with the treasure hunt, the Farragut treasure hunt, which will be coming up end of July. So
I was just trying to figure out a way to, since people are already on their computer, how they can, let's see what's going on in Farragut. But
we could have all the prizes at curbside at Water into Wine.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. Okay, so that takes care of town sampler. I guess now we're to the town of Farragut report, David.
Yes, thank you. Well, obviously we know everyone's hurting out there with the virus and the crisis that we're dealing with right now. We've got the safer at home order that Knox County Health Department has put in place. And I know there's still quite a few businesses that can remain open, but there's several that have had to obviously close their doors. We are currently closed to the public at Town Hall. We do have staff here. We're still doing inspections. We're still doing our day-to-day activities, but we're doing them. If we've done shift changes, we've done things to try to distance ourselves. So we're trying to obviously comply with the social distancing and everything else that we can. I think for us, and just so everybody understands, I think you all do understand with where you guys are at. We rely just as much on the business the business community as you guys do with people coming to your stores, because our revenues are tied directly to how well our stores do. And when our stores are closed, then that doesn't do well for the town of Farragut either. So I know the stimulus packages are coming out, there's different things. I hear a lot about that over the next few days and coming weeks. One of the things that's not in there is that there's no help for any local governments less than 500,000 people. So for us, we really are going to be ratcheting our belts. We're going to be looking at our revenue projections very closely. And we're going to be having quite a few workshops with the board of mayor and aldermen to talk through what this means for our budget going forward, not just for this year. And hopefully it's just a blip on the radar screen. Hopefully we go 3 or 4 months and can get through this, but we just don't know at this point because we're right in the middle of it. So we're planning all sorts of projections and kind of scenarios around what we would need to do next year for our operations and current operations. But for right now, we do have folks in the building. We're working as diligently as we can. We have noticed in the last week or so a really big drop off in applications through our online system for, say, building permits and things like that. Even though construction related activities can continue, it seems like a lot are at least kind of slowing down a little bit. So we've definitely noticed in our building department. But if you look around town, the grocery stores obviously are the main drivers right now. Everyone's still going to the grocery store, still shopping and doing the things that they need to do to get food, in their houses. We do have some construction going on with the corner there with the Admiral's Landing. They continue to do construction out there. We have our park across the street that we're working at with the Campbell Station Inn. And that is hopefully once the weather clears a little bit better, we can get that going a little faster. That also may be a possibility if you wanted to wait till September, October to do the Taste of Farragut. I'm thinking that park's going to be done before then. So so it may be a possibility for you. We just have to wait and see and get with the contractor on that. We do have a couple final plats that are coming forward for the old Ivy Farm, Swan Farm area. There's a road right there across from Renaissance that they've built into a commercial area. I think everybody's probably seen it. It's driven by it, but there's some commercial there. There's some townhomes that are going to be in the back. And so they're going to get final plat to the Planning Commission this next month. And what that means is then they can start building their townhomes. I have not heard of anything on the commercial side of things yet, but I know they've got some from prospects they've been talking to. Continue to talk to the developer at the corner of Watt Road and Kingston Pike, just behind Little Joe's. He's trying to get some apartments put in there. He's got some things he's got to still work through to get that going forward. But if he can start moving the apartments along, then commercial would be kind of right behind that. So again, we'll wait and see on that project. And another project that we've talked a lot about time to time is looking at the old Kroger property and trying to redevelop the old Kroger property. So the developer is going to have some concepts that he wants to just kind of pick the brain of the Planning Commission and say, do you like the look and feel of what this may look like? So we've been talking to him about that, and he wants to get some Planning Commission feedback as he continues to move forward on that project. So with that, I'd be happy to try to answer any questions, but that's kind of where we're at this point.
Are there any questions for David right now?
Hey, David, how long will it be before you realize what the sales tax implications are to the town revenues, based on what's happened the last 2 weeks or so?
Well, our issue is that we're always 2 months behind. So when we get our revenues for, say, April, we're not going to get those until June. And by that point in time, we've already basically had to approve a budget moving forward for this year and for next year. So we're going to have to do our best guess on what we think is going to happen. I mean, we know grocery stores are still doing relatively well right now, but then you're really kind of guessing how long this is going to last, and that's kind of where we're at right now. Does it last 1, 2, 3, 4 months. I don't know, but I'm sure we're going to be working on kind of a worst case scenario in my mind, at least, and then talk to the board about that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for David?
Hang in there.
Yeah. Okay, is there any new business that needs to be considered, talked about, discussed, or concerns with anybody? I know everybody's really stressed out. I'm sorry.
I've got nothing.
Okay.
Thank you, Trevor, for setting this up.
Yes.
I think
Thank you,
it worked
Trevor.
pretty well. My screen says that there's 16 participants, and I've only counted 13.
Well,
So
16 including myself.
So who all's
And
here?
Steve, this is Kevin. I joined about 30 minutes late.
Oh, hi, Kevin.
Yeah. So sorry, I was putting out fires.
Yep. Absolutely understand.
I want to thank Kevin too for the hospital's flexibility on the health and wellness expo, being the first one, and in my zest to get the thing started and moving along. I'm working with a new marketing person over at the hospital. So as we move forward, we'll make sure that we give you all the sponsor benefits that we can possibly give you. Thanks. So Kevin, Candace, David Smoke, David Purvis, Jim Nixon, Jeremy, Michelle, Herc, Mayor Williams, Darren, Louise, Trevor, Alan Sloan, Sue Stool. Am I missing anybody?
I didn't hear my name, Steve, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah. Tony, okay. There. That's for the minutes. So we know who all attended.
Okay, everybody, keep your head up and have a wonderful week. And we are still planning on keeping our future meeting for April 16th unless otherwise quarantined. Is that correct? Or are we gonna change that date as well?
I don't think.
Okay,
Nope.
April 16th. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Bye.
Happy Friday Eve, Steve.
So long.
Have a good one.